I would say with my art, I'm a truth teller, I guess, or a storyteller. And yeah, I think that's pretty much, I would explain my art as being that, as telling the story of my community. My name is Broadie. I go by Broadie. It's a small backstory to that. When I was in elementary school, because my last name, or my first name, has an E on the end. My mother tells me that my name is pronounced Brian. So different teachers or substitute teachers, they didn't know if I was a girl or a boy, so they would say Brianne or Brianna. So everybody in the classroom would laugh. So it got to a point where substitute teachers would just say, "It's Broadie here," and that pretty much stuck with me. So that's the backstory on that name. I'm born and raised right here in the DMV. I lived in DC for a short time, and I spent majority of my life in Maryland and PG County. My mother moved out into Maryland to give us like a better opportunity because of the school systems. So pretty much PG County is home to me. I've been making art since I can remember, since elementary school. When they give you the sticks and the cotton balls to do the snowmans in elementary school, I just loved it. But I didn't get introduced to digital art until I got into college. I went to Bowie State University, which is a HBCU located in Bowie, Maryland. And I never forget it, I was on campus and one of my classmates, his name was Juan, he came coming across the yard and he had like this piece of paper in his hand. It was all colorful and it was a design with peoples on it. And I asked him, like, where did you get that from? He was like, oh, well, I created it. And I was like, how did you create it? It just automatically drew me in. And he said, well, it's one of my graphic design classes. So I was like, okay, cool. He said it's in the MLK building. And the very next day I went to the MLK building, saw it was entire art studio, and automatically changed over, switched my major to graphic design, and I dove into it. A lot of my pieces reflect education or the growth of one's mind or the success or upward mobility of a person based off their education and based off what they learn, because once you learn or once you take in like positive information or know the true history of this country, I feel like it builds or gives you a different perspective. It gives you a world view perspective. And within my community, sometimes a lot of us don't really make it out. We just learn everything within that community, but it's a larger world. My piece, Mind Growth, is one of the first pieces that I actually did that show like the representation of my growth through my education and through my life experiences. In this country, learning how to read or education for Black people was a crime. If you were caught learning how to read or learning how to write, it could be punishable by death. And then when education was allowed for my community, institutions were built where people who looked like me could not go. And Black people had to, African Americans had to create our own institutions, HBCUs, to actually go to get education. And for me, I always looked at everything as, if somebody is trying so hard not to stop just one person, but an entire group, an entire community, an entire ethnic group from learning, it has to be something behind that.